Welcome into Celtics Postgame Live, everybody. I'm Justin Lowe. That's IIanangelo. And my boy Franco down below. The Boston Celtics get back on track tonight with a 121-107 blowout victory against the Brooklyn Nets. Boston earns their first ever in-season tournament victory in history of history. The Brooklyn Nets already played last week. They fall to 1-1 in the in-season tournament. 4-5 overall in the regular season. The Celtics now improved to 2-0 against the Brooklyn Nets. They had beaten Brooklyn last week. We'll start with you, Ian. We'll go down the line. This was a great get back on track win, right? Like back at home, starting a 3-game homestand, a rough, you went 1-2, two really tough losses on the road, but, great win.
Oh, yeah, it was huge. Jaylen Brown looked completely different from the guy we saw in Philadelphia. He was cooking like the entire game. Jason Tatum randomly became the best shooter in the world for like solid 5 minutes at one point in the second quarter. He was pretty solid. This was kind of highlighted by our bench. We talked a lot about the bench. We've been pretty critical, I'd say, about it. They stepped up tonight. Sam Hauser, he did really well. Peyton Pritchard had, in my opinion, his first good game this season. Luke Cornett, he was nice tonight. No Al Horford, so the bench had to step up, and I think everyone did their job. I was pretty happy with the win.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it seems like Joe really has been listening to the criticisms after every game, probably listens to our post-game show, because it seems like they really find a way to respond to anything that we have to say the night before or night after. Luke Cornett had a great response. We talked about Hauser, Pritchard, Cornett. We don't know if those guys are going to be the guys to be those 3 rotation players after Horford or White. And they really stepped up tonight. Brown and Tatum coexisted once again on the court. And I think the court looked really good tonight in TD Garden compared to the concepts and all the drawouts and the cream-colored jerseys. They looked a lot different on court.
I disagree. I did not like the court. I was
Really?
not a fan. Not a fan.
I kind of agree with both of you. First of all, this might be a little biased, but I think this is easily one of the best courts in the NBA in terms of, the other ones I've seen. The Washington Wizards have the worst, by the way. It looks like rust. It is disgusting. But, I like the uniforms. I think they look good. I like the clean white. I like that a lot. I like how they kind of keeping it going with the green and gold. The court, I don't know, maybe all 21 years I've seen the Celtics play on parquet in the TD Garden. Not having the parquet was kind of weird, but it's not the end of the world. Doesn't matter what court the Celtics are on. Doesn't matter what jerseys they're wearing. Celtics had to go out and get a win tonight, and that's exactly what they did. I will say this, though, about the court. There are some rumors going around that the Celtics, where that gold strip is in the middle of the court,
they wanted to put parquet on it, yeah.
And the league denied that. So, that's a big screw you to the league, where the Celtics are one of the biggest organizations, if not the biggest organization, other than probably the Lakers ever in the history of the NBA. Remember, if it wasn't for Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, the NBA probably wouldn't have been saved. But really, what's the big deal about putting parquet in the center of the court? I don't know. I don't think that's a big deal in my opinion.
Yeah, see, I don't know. My biggest problem was the court. I did not like that gold strip that went all the way down the middle of the court. I thought that was really stupid looking, if I'm being 100% honest.
Yeah.
And the fact that every other court looks the exact same is even worse, in my opinion. Like, they're literally the same copy paste, just with different colors. All of them are. Yeah. With a different center logo. It's literally the same court.
I will say the center logo is sick. Like
the center logo was cool. The Boston center logo with the trophy was
in the back.
Cool.
Oh, that's.
I hated the gold in the middle. The green was fine. I hated the gold in the middle.
I do say, though, before we move on, I do hope that they're kind of testing this out in terms of putting the trophy back on the court for the in-season tournament, because in my opinion, if you could put an in-season tournament trophy on the court, there is absolutely no reason why the NBA Finals logo should not be
exactly.
I'm just saying, like, all that, like, we've heard some rumors and all that, but, I don't know. It needs to come back. Court and the jerseys were new tonight, but the Celtics, I feel like they felt like a new team in terms of what we've seen the last two games. I love how you mentioned Luke Cornett, Ian, because we've been kind of, and Franco, because we've been kind of criticizing Luke Cornett, but we haven't had to the past couple games, because even though the Celtics have lost the past couple games, Luke Cornett's played particularly well. I think it was a big game for the bench guys like Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard both combined for 28 points tonight on a combined 10 of 20 shooting. I do want to mention Sam Hauser, because Sam Hauser, the last 5 games, has really lit it up from behind the arc. He's shooting 17 of 32 from behind the arc. That equates out to 53.1%. He's shooting at a high clip. What seemed like he had a struggling preseason, oh my goodness. No way did Seamus Arlingo just come into this chat. That makes me so
Hey.
Live from the South. I won't be here too long because you guys kind of know my story already, but I just had to come in here real quick and give the Celtics some praise tonight, because they absolutely dominated the Brooklyn Nets in every fashion of this game. You just go down the stat list of this game, every single statistical category. Now, I know stats don't mean everything for every single game, but every single statistical category in this game, the Celtics dominated all the way through. And all the guys we talked about the other night, Luke Cornett, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard. Now, I know this is the Nets, not as talented of a team as the Philadelphia 76ers, and probably a team that, if we do face them in the playoffs, will probably come in the first round rather than later on. But it's definitely encouraging to see these kind of performances come out of the bench, and, of course, the starters tonight against, I don't want to call them an inferior team, but let's face it, they are an inferior team to us. And first in-season tournament win for the Celtics, first game. I personally, no parquet tonight, but I personally did like the floor. I thought it was one of the better floors out there for sure. No doubt. I'll have to talk about that on the show on Tuesday. But that's pretty much all I had to say coming in here today. Celtics win. We're happy.
Yeah, we are happy. It's good to see Seamus in here. But I do want to keep talking about this, guys, because really quick, Sam Hauser, again, I'll throw the graphic up on the screen for those who didn't get to see it. 17 of 32, 53.1%. Ian, we'll start with you. Sam Hauser had a very rough preseason and a very rough first few games. So for him to come in these last 5 games and really shoot the ball at a high clip, getting back to the Sam Hauser that we know, the Sam Hauser we love. Was there any concern with Sam Hauser? I will admit it was getting a little nerve-wracking, but the last 5 games, he's really looking comfortable in.
See, I never really had any concerns about Sam Hauser, because we saw last year there was a time where he just couldn't hit shots. And, that's just going to happen if you're a shooter like that. That's just going to happen. But we know most of the time Sam Hauser is good for hitting pretty much all of his threes. And tonight he wasn't even hitting the rim with his threes. So he was cooking tonight, and I didn't really have too much of a concern. I don't think anyone on the Celtics did either. Even if Svi Mykhailiuk was shooting better in the preseason, I don't think he was going to take Sam Hauser's job. And Rob's not here today, but I think he owes Sam Hauser an apology because he switched up on his own guy. So,
yeah, I feel like Hauser really is just going to fall into his own with this roster lineup wise. When he's that 4th or 5th option, being that 3-point shooter, if he's inconsistent, at least now they have that wing depth behind him for those off nights. But we know when he's on, and he has been for the past 5 games. So that's why he's getting the minutes he deserves. And he's going to continue to get those until someone proves otherwise and outperforms him, or he starts to lack.
Yeah, I think with Sam Hauser, and I mentioned this in the preseason when he was struggling, was the fact that, like, I think I'd be more concerned with Sam Hauser if he wasn't taking those shots and if he wasn't continuing to look for those shots. I think he's one of the best, and I do say this, not just on the team, just in the league. I think he's best at creating his own shot. He's moving off ball. I don't want to compare him to Steph Curry, but, like, he's very good. Like, watch Sam Hauser move.
What do you mean?
Ball.
He's better than Steph Curry.
He's consistently. He's consistently
the
better
best.
Than Steph Curry.
He's the best number 30 in the NBA.
But I didn't hear. Oh, that adds up perfect. But on a serious note, I think Sam Hauser, go watch clips, go watch the film, and watch how he moves off ball, and he's able to just find himself. And I mean, when he shoots it, he has such a high arcing shot, and he has one of the most beautiful jump shots I think we've seen in the league. And it's just nothing but net. You can hear the microphones off the rim of the net just swishing. But Sam Hauser shooting it at a 53% clip the last 5 games. That's going to help the Celtics huge, especially coming off the bench, especially when we question the depth of this bench and how thin it can be. But somebody who really stepped up tonight, who's had a really troubling last 2 games, and honestly could be the reason why the Celtics have gone 0-2, is Jaylen Brown. I had to give him the player of the game, the player spotlight tonight, because Jaylen Brown versus the Brooklyn Nets tonight, 28 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 10 of 19 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. He had a phenomenal first quarter. He came out for blood, as Sam Hauser called Peyton Pritchard. I feel like when Jaylen Brown is throwing up some heat checks, a couple heat checks late in that third quarter, I feel like those are the best heat checks, because when Jaylen Brown's on, the Celtics are on. And I think that's very important, because we've seen how off the Celtics look when Jaylen Brown is not at his best, when he's dribbling the ball off his foot, when he's forcing shots, when he's not hitting at a high clip. He didn't start to make a couple shots until late in that Philly game when it was too little too late. Ian, we'll start with you. How important was Jaylen Brown tonight, putting his footprint, putting his fingerprint in this one early?
Jaylen Brown was huge, and he's kind of the X factor when it comes to this team, because when he's struggling, he can – I'm not going to say he can lose the Celtics a game, but we've seen in the past where, like, he can have some terrible nights, and the Celtics, there's just no way they're going to come back from it. But when Jaylen Brown is on fire like he was tonight, I mean, I don't think there's another team in the NBA that's going to stop the Celtics. Even when Jason Tatum didn't have the best shooting night tonight, and Jaylen Brown still was cooking everybody. And the fact that he was hitting his threes was also something that I found very, very positive, because everyone always has talk about Jaylen Brown since he has the huge contract and everything. But I think he did pretty great tonight, and he was definitely the number 1 guy on the Celtics in this game.
He is the energy shifter of this team, just plain and simple. Just he's the captain, the heartbeat. If he's doing well, they are doing well. He is the one who is setting the defensive intensity, usually guarding up on the best wing or defender out there. Tatum's been usually on someone else, and they've been running more of his own, but when he's stepping up and getting his drives, getting his shots up that he wants, there's sometimes that when that's not happening, he's having an off night. The whole team is just trying to make up for it. But he's just kind of that first domino that needs to fall for the team to really get the ball rolling. Because when it comes to like Kristaps, Giroux, Tatum, you're going to get that consistency.
Right.
Scoring to them is second nature, but Brown is just all around what needs to be there for it to all come together.
Yeah, I want to break down the team stats, because I think the Celtics were just all over the Brooklyn Nets tonight. The Celtics, first off, 29 assists on 41 made field goals. The Celtics shot 9 more field goals than the Brooklyn Nets. I think that's very, very, very important. Something else also that stuck out to me was Boston out-rebounded Brooklyn 17-9 on the offensive glass. 17-9 on the offensive glass. Usually it's the other way around. Celtics aren't getting those offensive rebounds. Tonight they were doing so, and that equates to a 14-point win, essentially. I mean, the effort on the glass, Peyton Pritchard, O'Shea Brissett's already becoming one of my favorite players on the team. Kind of an Aaron Nesmith role where he just comes in, he's just a baller, he's just a dog. What did you like tonight, Ian, from this Celtics squad? Also, only 7 turnovers tonight for the Celtics, which also is a big reason why the Celtics came out on top in a big fashion tonight.
Yeah, I mean, when the Celtics are playing basketball like this, nobody's going to stop them. Like, when they play, I don't want to call it brain dead basketball, but when they play basketball where they're turning the ball over, they're not hustling on the offensive glass, they're not hustling on the defensive glass, that's pretty much the only way a team is going to beat the Celtics, in my opinion. It's when they beat themselves is when they lose games sometimes, most of the time. But in this game, this shows the possibility of how great they are, and especially when it comes to the rebounding. Holiday and Tatum combined for 22 rebounds out of the 52 that they had in total, which is kind of nuts in my opinion. So, and Drew Holiday led the team in rebounds. He had 12, which was also kind of insane.
Yeah, I think the Nets were rolling with a smaller team tonight. I think they were without Claxton and a lot of Yep. So they were definitely lacking in size, but the fact that Cornette was able to take advantage of those smaller defenders and offensive rebounding is just coming down to hustling and getting under there. Kind of seemed like a lot of those were calculated. People were in the right places. That's just good basketball. That's what it's going to come down to for this team. They don't have that stout rebounder who's going to stand in the middle and just swallow every rebound that comes off the glass. They need to have a full team effort. They have to have players coming in, crashing. Brown, Tatum, Drew, which he has for the past couple of games, been guarding the centers. I believe he was on Embiid and Cat throughout the past 2 games. So,
yeah. Also, if you want to know one of your favorite players, Justin, O'Shea Brissett, he's 5-0 anytime he plays with the Celtics. So,
I mean, Blake Griffin was unbelievable as a starter, and we weren't talking about that. But O'Shea Brissett, O'Shea Brissett, like, look, okay, so he's one of 9 from 3 this year so far. Like, we can nitpick the things about O'Shea Brissett. He had a great shooting year just a couple of years ago. He had an off shooting year last year. So the consistency is something that we're still looking for with O'Shea Brissett. I believe he's only a 3-year player. So that's still something to look out for. But as far as energy-wise, it's funny because the other night we talked about this, the depth in the Philly game where in the first quarter when the game kind of lacked energy and O'Shea Brissett went to the scorer's table and he didn't end up checking in. That felt like an O'Shea Brissett type of game. Same thing with the Minnesota game. And I'm not just saying that because he played in neither of them. I just feel like when the Celtics needed that extra lift, that extra energy, I feel like he could be the Energizer Bunny of this team. And he was that tonight. And the Celtics really, I was surprised he was in at the end of the game. I was surprised they didn't just sit him or sit Hauser or somebody and give Lamar Stevens some reps, because in a blowout game, Lamar Stevens got a DNP CD. Which is shocking to me, especially on a night where you got to play smaller with no Al Horford, no Keita as well. But I just absolutely love O'Shea Brissett's effort, Franco, and I just love how he plays. I really do think. I think the nickname I'm going to give him is the Energizer Bunny here on the Celtics Talk Weekly.
Carousel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've been saying, they have a lot of talented players. Mikhailu, Banton, Brissett, Stevens. All 4 of them were getting valuable minutes, starting position minutes last year on less winning teams. So I really want to see more from them, and I feel like that's going to be more within games 42 to 82 after the All-Star break, when our stars are starting to get a little bit more banged up. Knock on wood that doesn't happen too bad, and it's just going to come over time as the team gels. And one night, Brissett is going to have that 20-point performance or 15-point performance. That's going to pretty much make him a lock in the rotation, or it could be any of those four.
I think Boston. I think Joe Mazzulla heard these guys aren't your hair and makeup guys. These guys are your players, because he played 11 of the 12 available tonight. It's funny because I really think it's going to become a thing now, I think, with Jrue Holiday putting up just shy of a triple-double almost every night. It feels like Jrue Holiday tonight, 13 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, shooting 6 of 14 from the field. Had a little off night, shooting from 3, 1 of 5. Ian, what do you like from Jrue Holiday? I feel like he just does things. And Rob and I were talking on the phone yesterday or a couple days ago about he makes it look so effortless. Like you look at you, all of a sudden you're not paying attention to the stat sheet, and all of a sudden Jrue Holiday has a triple-double, and it seems like he just kind of walked into it.
Yeah, I mean, Jrue Holiday just plays. He's just a vibes guy. The way he plays, when he's on, he's one of the most fun players to watch. He can do pretty much everything, especially on the defensive end. I think it's insanely fun to watch him on the defensive end, because even if you see guys like, regular guys like Mikal Bridges tonight, for example, anytime they try to post up Jrue Holiday, no, he doesn't move. Like, you can't move Jrue Holiday on the block if you try to post him up. We saw that with Julius Randle. We saw that with Embiid at times. You can't post up Jrue Holiday on the block, and that brings up easy steals. That gets the Celtics in transition, and that's where the Celtics are successful. So Jrue Holiday kind of feels like the engine of this team, and, he's not putting up like a 30-point triple-double every night, but the fact that he's putting up the stats that he is on a team with Porzingis, Tatum, and Brown, I think this is pretty much exactly what the Celtics traded him for. For him for.
He's making what Smart did look so much easier. Like, all love to Marcus Smart, but when he was on the block, and it seemed so embellished when he was playing that defense, but it looks so simple and nonchalant when Jrue Holiday is doing those double teams on the off balls, and you'll just see him literally running towards the player, and it causes a turnover because the player starts to panic and is like, oh crap, Jrue Holiday's about to come take the ball out of my hands, and he makes a dumb decision. It's very it's just an effect on the court that he has that is a lot different than what Marcus Smart did. Marcus Smart would make the memorable plays. Jrue makes all the plays that are needed to win.
Yeah, I think Jrue Holiday is just I feel like we've been saying we need a true point guard for so many years. I finally feel like we got that. I finally feel like we got a true point guard. He's able to facilitate. He can shoot the ball. He can pace and space. He can just play make and play defense. He just does it all. And I think that's extremely important to have, especially on this team. Celtics also played that, very little of it, but they did still play that 3-guard lineup tonight, which was interesting. And I guess we can't really complain too much about it because the Celtics blew out the Nets. But I wonder how Rob feels about that. But the Celtics do snap a 2-game losing streak with a 121-107 win. The Celtics are back in action tomorrow night against the Toronto Raptors. This is just a regular season game. Next week, next Friday, it'll be an in-season tournament game in Toronto. But for now, the Celtics will host the Raptors tomorrow night. Al Horford should be back. It was right knee management, another rest, tonight.
Can't say that.
First night, yeah, we'll get fined. I don't want to get fined. But on the first night of a back-to-back, Al Horford sits. The plan is for Kristaps Porzingis to play tomorrow, as well as Al Horford. So Celtics should be pretty close to full strength, unless Nehemiah Queta is out tomorrow. But for the most part, Celtics are at full strength. It will be at full strength tomorrow because we will have Celtics post-game live covered for you here. I'll be here. Ian will be here. Hopefully, Franco, David, I believe, is joining us as well. I think he's on the schedule. So we'll have you guys covered for Celtics post-game live. But for now, a little short show today. But no, I know everybody's gonna go through their final thoughts, their conversations.
I got some stuff. So
what stuff? Ian stuff.
I got stuff to say.
This should be a segment.
All right. So first, I found it funny when Dennis Smith Jr. was trying to talk shit to Peyton Pritchard at the end of the game, and he just pointed up to the scoreboard. You didn't see that video?
No, I didn't.
All right, I'll send it to you. But at the end of the game, Dennis Smith Jr. was trying to talk shit to Peyton Pritchard, and Pritchard just pointed up to the scoreboard, and it was kind of funny. So that was the first thing that I found funny. And then second thing, this wasn't funny, but this was good. Jordan Walsh made his G League debut tonight. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals and blocks, 7 of 14 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3.
Wow.
4 of 9 from 3. Yeah, they Maine Celtics lost, but he looked very good. He had a very strong third quarter.
They still put up like 120 something.
Yeah, 127.
They lost like 130 something to 127. So
yeah, I think that's good. I think that's very good for Jordan Walsh, though. He's only 19 years old. We can say that literally. He's 19 years old. Yeah, he's 19 years old. He's clearly a project in the most respectful way possible. Like, he's not going to be this prodigy right away. He looked very solid in summer league. But I think sending him to Maine on assignment is a very smart decision, especially early on, right? Like, he's not a two-way guy, but he's a guy you can send down there. He's young enough to send down there, get some experience, and then if you need him, call him back up here.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for him to come in and get that experience, and there's really no need for him to be on the back of this rotation. We already have 4 guys that we already talked earlier in the show about not even getting minutes, so
right,
it would just be another mouth to feed that isn't getting those minutes that we think are deserved. But
is not to change the subject here, but is this the first back-to-back of the season other than that stupid preseason back-to-back? This might be the first back-to-back, so it's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. I will say for tonight, as far as minutes went, Jaylen Brown had 30, Tatum had 33, Holiday 32. Porzingis only had 25 or 24. White had 26. We mentioned this earlier. Pritchard had 30 and a half minutes tonight, and Hauser had 24. So they had heavy minutes tonight, and they'll probably get some more minutes tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to. But again, Celtics take the win against the Brooklyn Nets. They improved to 6-2 on the regular season, 121-107. They now lead the season series against the Brooklyn Nets 2-0. They are 1-0 in their in-season, I believe it's called group play. If that's right, we're still trying to learn the demographics here. But Boston and Toronto tomorrow night. For now, I'm Justin. That's Ian. That's Franco. David will be with us tomorrow. And we'll see you then, hopefully talking about another Celtics win. If not, the sky's falling.